Hello everyone, today I'll be showing you all the most influential OG cars in GTA Online. So let's just get into it. The Zentorno. The Zentorno has become absolutely synonymous with GTA Online for me because back in the day, this was the car to have. Mostly because of the back that was completely bulletproof. You cannot be shot from the back because there's no window. The Jester also had a similar feature to it, but in the Jester, that was optional. It was just a panel you could put on the back of the window and it would make it bulletproof. In the Zentorno, it came like this. And to add on to that, the Zentorno was already a good performing car. It outperformed the Adder on most tracks, so that made it a good addition to GTA Online to sort of replace the Adder. Also, the cherry on the cake, the Zentorno only cost $750,000 compared to the Adder's $1 million price tag. All of this stacked up the Zentorno to be an overall better car than the Adder because it just had everything beat in terms of the Adder. Customization is also pretty good, especially for the time, but Rockstar recently went back and added customization to a lot of older cars. They are pretty generic parts, but I do appreciate them showing love to the older OG cars for people like me who still drive them. Overall, the Zentorno is absolutely fantastic and definitely left its mark on GTA Online. You can ask anyone, the Zentorno is definitely one of the most memorable cars from GTA Online. I mean, of course the Adder as well, but the Zentorno is up there with it. The armored Kuruma. The armored Kuruma, where do I start? Firstly, it is bulletproof. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know that. You can obviously tell by looking at it. It is bulletproof and it is cheap. This made it one of the absolute must-have best vehicles for everyone who played GTA Online when it came out, because back then weaponized vehicles weren't as rampant as they are today. They were much more scarce, and the Kuruma provided some protection from bullets. People didn't usually use RPGs to shoot at you, well, because obviously the RPG has a travel time. Bullets do not, and the railgun was not out at the time, so you didn't have that instant explosion to catch them. You could easily survive a drive-by in the armored Kuruma. Also, it is only $525,000, which is very cheap for GTA Online standards, and there was a method to get it inside the Pacific Standard heist. Basically, there was a garage right next to the heist. You can go in there, store the Kuruma in there. I'm pretty sure there were some other steps to it, but at the end of it, you would be able to use the armored Kuruma during the Pacific Standard heist, which I'm sure helped out many people. You could probably still use it, but it's a different method at this point that I probably don't know of. All of this makes me absolutely love the armored Kuruma. Now, of course, there are replacements to the armored Kuruma. A lot of people would argue that the Night Shark is better because of the explosive resistance, but it costs double of the armored Kuruma, and you cannot use guns in the bulletproof paneled version of the Night Shark, which definitely is a setback. But overall, the Kuruma is fantastic. The customization is okay, I would say, especially for the time period. And it is a absolute classic in GTA Online. Everyone knows about the armored Kuruma. If you don't, you must be living under a rock or something, under a massive boulder, because everyone knows it. The T20. The T20 is absolutely fantastic. I'd say it is probably the best hypercar ever added to GTA Online because of course, it does cost $2.2 million, and that is, even today, kind of a hefty price, especially for a rather outdated vehicle in terms of customization, performance, and everything. But at the time that the T20 was released, it was fantastic. You bought it simply to show that you were richer than everyone else in the lobby, and if you had one, you either saved up a bunch of money to get it, or you were a money glitcher, which was probably the latter. I just really love the T20. It doesn't have a lot of customization because it's a hypercar. Most hypercars in GTA Online don't have a ton, although newer cars do. The T20 doesn't really need any customization because this is how it was meant to be. A great color, maybe a secondary black matte paint or gloss, and that is it to it. The T20 doesn't need anything else. Overall, for the T20, I would say if you're a newer player to GTA Online, this car probably doesn't hold a lot of value to you. I would probably not even buy it because it is rather expensive. But for us OGs, we do remember the time where T20s were rampant, Kurumas were everywhere, Insurgents were everywhere, and it was a simpler time to play GTA Online. The 9F. The 9F is probably the car in this video that is most synonymous with GTA Online and GTA 5 because it is literally in the cover of GTA 5. And it's kind of funny that they took out the cover car of GTA 5 to be able to purchase it. You could still get it through other means, but you can't purchase it on the website anymore. Found that rather funny, so I thought I'd mention it. And that's really why this car is most influential. It was just on the cover. Even back in the day, a lot of people didn't drive the 9F a lot. There were much better cars to drive instead of the 9F. I still drive it out of pure nostalgia, but if you don't have that nostalgia, if you're not an OG player, you wouldn't have that for this car because it's rather outdated. It was 100,000, which is pretty cheap, but you can't even buy it anymore, so it doesn't matter. And if you're a newer player, this is just a car that you find off the street, steal, and then you dump it somewhere and call in your personal car. Customization is definitely not the 9F's strong suit. There is pretty much none, just a spoiler and some bumper options, and that's it. The 10F, which is the newer generation Audi R8, is a much better car to customize to drive than the 9F, but it lacks the nostalgia that I remember so dearly of the 9F. Most of these older cars like the Carbon Azure and the Coquette, the 9F, all these types of cars, the Infernus, nobody really drove them even before they got deleted, because although as much as we hate Rockstar for deleting these cars, no one was driving them. They were pretty pointless to drive. They're slow, they're outdated. They were kind of a waste of money. Even 150,000 at that point, you could spend it on something else. But that doesn't mean I'm happy that they deleted the 9F. The LG Retro Custom. Now, I know a lot of you naughty GTA Online players will know this car for one simple thing. Back in the day, duplication glitches were rampant. They still are, but the car of choice to duplicate was the LG Retro Custom because it gave you the most amount of money for duplicating it, and it was the best car to duplicate. Before, it was the Chino Custom, then they added the LG Retro Custom, and then everybody started using it. Most of the time when I see these in lobbies, they're these gold LG Retro Customs with big old wings and big old front bumpers and a dumb looking livery. I mean, they're just ridiculous. They're absolutely ridiculous. Nobody customized these things to actually look good. They just customized them to get the most amount of return out of their initial investment to then duplicate the car. Despite it mostly being known for duplication, I do think it is a pretty good car. The speed is rather bad for even modern GTA standards, but the customization is pretty great. It has the OG Benny's customization options, which I really love, and you can make this car look really clean. I went for a very simple clean street build here with a carbon hood, and I really think this build looks fantastic. It is unfortunate to me though that most of the cars I see once again that are LG Retro Customs are just the gold LG Retro Customs that have a bunch. They're basically just maxed out so they could get the most amount of money, and I never really see anyone drive these or kit them out to make them look clean, just like some clean street builds. Never see them, unfortunately, but I would like to see them in the future or even in the present. I also love how this car sounds. This is a sound that is not necessarily reused a whole lot in GTA Online, and this car makes great use of it. Also, the engine is fantastic looking. I really love how it looks. If you make it anything other than red, you are a weird person. And yeah, overall, the car is fantastic. I think this car should be known for its customization and how it looks, but unfortunately it is probably more well known for being the best car to duplicate at the time this car was released. So if you ever see a clean LG Retro Custom in the wild, consider yourself lucky, as it's not a very common sight. The Sand King. I still regard the Sand King to be the best off-roader in GTA Online because of its approach and departure angles and the way the body rolls over each rock. I just absolutely love this truck for off-roading. It has pretty decent customization as well for being a car that was released in base kit 2013, and this truck is just absolutely fantastic. Now, a lot of people are probably going to say there are better off-roaders to use for off-roading. Yes, I would agree, but nothing quite has the feel like the Sand King. A lot of the new off-roaders are very stiff, they're torquey, you just gas it and you go up anything, and they don't roll, they're just like a stiff tube. This is just absolute, it's just finesse. Like, you go over a rock, it rolls perfectly over the rock. It is just a sight to behold whenever you off-road this thing. And this may sound stupid, I'm getting so excited about this off-roader that was released in 2013. But the Sand King is just absolutely fantastic. Once again, unfortunately, the Sand King is almost never seen in GTA Online. In regular free mode, I pretty much never see it because no one really has an excuse to drive it unless they're off-roading. And if they're off-roading, they're probably with friends, so it makes sense to drive it. But no one just drives it around, and honestly, I wouldn't either, because that's not what it was meant to do. It was meant to off-road, and it does it absolutely perfectly. Also something, if the Sand King were to get HSW, I think it would be absolutely fantastic and ludicrous. Just imagine a fast off-roader that is torquey but not stiff, because a lot of the new off-roaders, like I said before, are stiff and torquey, but this actually has roll, so it would be much more cool. And also a lot of HSW cars don't necessarily go fast. The Sentinel, for example, is dog slow for having HSW. The Banshee goes like the speed of light, so they could kind of balance it out. But if they don't, I will still forever love the Sand King. And that is it, everyone. The most influential OG cars in GTA Online, in my opinion at least. Let me know what you think in the comments, and have a good day. Goodbye.